always this like like too much stress. You know what I mean? I don't know how you like.
This is like nothing compared to being up on stage. When I was up on stage a couple of weeks ago, I was kind of like, so I know that feeling.
How was it being on stage in front of, I'm assuming, like 1.5 billion people, right?
It was awesome. And the crazy thing is people coming up to me saying, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, I have no idea who they are. I'm like, this is super weird, but this is awesome.
They're like internet famous, but in real life.
Somebody sent me a message with a photo of them going like this, and I was in the background talking to somebody else.
That's so what it's like celebrities.
They're like, I wanted to talk to you, but you were just talking to so many people, and I just want to say thank you. I'm like, this is weird.
That's so awesome. I'm super psyched for you. I remember when, all right, so we were in like FAFE, but it was called, it's now Get Clients, but it's FAFE. And you had, this is when I first met you in real life, and you had like a trucker or something like that? Or
junk hauler. That was my first horrible client ever.
Junk hauler. Tell me about the junk hauler, because this was like, it was not just your first client, but it was also your first horrible client, right? You're doing Facebook ads or something, or then it
was my first paying client. And yeah, so I started with, let's see, it was like 6 months after I started Dan's course, and I tried Curious Student. It just flopped. My network sucked. And so then I got a flyer in the mail, and it was for this junk hauler asking if people wanted to, you know, have call to schedule have people come and get their junk. I was like, I looked at his Facebook page, didn't have a whole lot going on. His website didn't have a pixel. So I called him up. I said, hey, I run Facebook ads. Would you be interested in having me run Facebook ads for your business? And he goes, yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. I'm like, okay, sweet. So it's like, yay, get my first client. And I was also posting to his Facebook page like daily or every other day or something like that, making videos for his ads, and we're doing a landing page. And he's paying me $800 a month. I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. But he was kind of psycho.
$100, that's perfect. That's so much money, right?
It's starting, right? That was my first, because I'm trying to get out of this job that I've been working for the last, like decade. And yeah, so then it was fine at first, but then he told me he was bipolar and schizo. And then he's and then he's texting me, telling me he loves me. He was drunk texting me. And then he's like, oh, sorry, that was for my girlfriend. But then he's telling me about his girlfriend problems. And I'm just trying to be nice, because I'm like, dude, I don't want you to fire me. You're my only client. Right. And everybody else is like, you need to fire this guy. And he really was psychotic. And then so finally, I was just like, oh, he's wanted me to be his bookkeeper. He wanted me to come into his office and work in his office. I'm like, no. And then he was actually complaining that I never come in to meet with him, even though we're in the same city. I'm like, I don't need to. I'm virtual. You don't need me to come and talk. I'm like, you're weird. So I'm glad we kind of parted ways.
But that was like, so you got that first client, the first shitty client, because you sent like a Facebook message because you saw a flyer, or how was that conversation?
Yeah, I just called up the number on the flyer, and I said, hey, I see, I got this flyer from you. Have you ever thought about doing Facebook ads? And he goes, yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. I'm like, okay, well, that's what I do. And so we chatted for a little bit, and I found out, what he did exactly. And so then he's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, okay, it's going to be, I'll post to your Facebook page, and I'll do Facebook ads, and it'll be $800 a month. He's like, okay. Or wait, no, it's first $400 a month just for ads. And then I added, was it just ads or just posting? I don't remember which one I started first, but I was only doing one for a while. And then he finally added on the other one, and I was like, sweet, $800, and got him a ton of leads. We were doing an offer for one big item haul off for like $35 or $37 or something. And the cool thing is, people would sign up for that. They'd had something in their basement forever. But then they have all this other stuff they wanted to have too. So then it would be, come in and do a consult or whatever and say, okay, well, this item is this amount, but if you want more, then it's going to be, extra. And then the cool thing was, and this is my first taste of thinking Messenger is the way to go, because people were messaging his page asking me about this offer. So then I'm in there answering questions and stuff. And so then when I first, found out about bots, I thought about that. I was like, wow, I've been closing a lot of clients for, this junk hauler client in Messenger. It'd be great if it's all automated and they can just get all their information without me having to spend time typing to all of them.
Yeah, but that wasn't, is that like, that was the first dawn where you're like, oh, that should be a thing. But it was like your next client, the restaurant one, that made it like a real, like, solidified. And then it turned into like a case study and you presented it. It was like a whole, like, that was your first moment as like, you thought about it and then you got a client and then you did it and then you got like food for it or something.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah. So that was the weird thing. So, or the funny thing. So, so the junk collar client, he ended up like, he quit paying his invoice. So I'm like, fine, I'm not doing work for you anymore, crazy psycho. And so then I had one gym client for a couple months and did really good with that. You know, it was like a personal training gym. But then I like had like one client, just like, oh my gosh, like I started thinking, is this ever going to work? I've been doing this for almost a year. I'm like, this hasn't even, you know, really done much. And I'm like, I need to get out of my job. And then I decided to create some proposals and I took them to a couple local restaurants. One is this really, really good pizza place. And then this other one is a Mexican restaurant that's nearby. And so I dropped each proposal off at each place and got to talk to the Mexican restaurant. The pizza place guy ended up telling me, no, we like to send out flyers. I'm like, okay. And so when I talked to the Mexican restaurant, I said, okay, there's these new things called messenger bots. And I want to do those and then run ads to it. And first of all, English is his second language. So he's just like, I don't know really what you're talking about. So he had the deer in the headlights look. And so then he was like, and then the tech aspect too. He's like, I don't even know. You know, his Facebook page had like 70 likes on it. And all of his posts were in Spanish because he was just keeping his friends and family updated about what was going on in the restaurant.
in like the Pacific Northwest, Spanish isn't like, it's not like the Southeast, like Miami, where English, but okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and the central part of Washington State has a higher Hispanic population. In Eastern Washington, it's not so much. But yeah, so he was totally not using Facebook for marketing whatsoever. And the most he'd ever done for marketing was he paid $180 for a spot in like a local newspaper flyer thing. And so, so with this proposal, I said, hey, it's going to be $500 a month for me to run Facebook ads. He goes, how about 300? And I'm like, how about 400? And he goes, how about 300 plus free food? I'm like, sold.
Yes. That's awesome.
So yeah, I get food from there for free. And there's some months I just get so busy I forget about it. And I'm like, oh man, I need to go get some free food. But yeah, so I did a giveaway and got a bunch of people into the bot. And what? Something,
the corn, what were you giving away? Like, it's on the tip of my tongue.
It was gift cards.
Wasn't there like, were you doing something about peppers or something like that?
That's my so the birthday ad has peppers as the ad video. It's these dancing mariachi peppers. Yeah, but so the giveaway was I think 3 or 4 $30 gift cards. And so I just sent them to a ManyChat landing page and they would click to enter. And then everybody that entered also got a coupon for like, I think a free appetizer. And yeah, so that went like gangbusters. And I got a bunch of likes and comments on the ad. And so then that started increasing. I started inviting those people to like the page. And so that started increasing that. And then got a ton of people into the bot. And then since then, you know, I mean, they've been in there for over a year, about 14 months. And so all the times we do other promotions, I can just send messages to those people, say, hey, did you want to enter the next giveaway for a gift card? And, you know, there's some salty people. It's like, I never win. I'm thinking, unsubscribe. I mean, you're a sore loser.
Very much. See you later. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, actually. And one person actually responds and says, how am I going to come and get free, or how am I going to come and get food if you don't give me money for it? I'm like, this is a business. What are you thinking?
Application, the money for food scenario.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, this is not a soup kitchen. But yeah, so it's crazy. So then I got written up in the ManyChat blog for that giveaway. And then full circle, when I was speaking at the ManyChat conference, I was sitting there listening to they had 2 Facebook people there, which is huge because Facebook never goes or sends people to conferences, but there's 2 of them there. And the guy who's like the head of Messenger development was there, and he's talking about, you know, ways to use Messenger, and he has case studies, and I'm kind of like, you know, listening, but I'm doing stuff on my computer, and I look up, he's using this exact thing. I'm like, dude, that's my client. I'm like, that's craziness. He's using my client as a example of a case study of how to properly use Messenger to get clients or to get customers and how to correspond with subscribers. I'm like, okay, I made it.
That's absolutely awesome. So just kind of like to recap, and like a bunch of people just joined. So you were still trying to like figure out like the next big step and things like that. And you just started like handing in proposals to like restaurants, things like that. Was that just a proposal that you just like made up with your face on it saying, I want to do it? Or was there like a template or a format, or I guess like what did that proposal look like?
Yeah, so it was, I just pretty much kind of, I don't think I had a template that I ran off of. I was just saying, okay, I gave an example of what the ad would look like. Like I went into the ad dashboard, and there's that creative dashboard thing or whatever where you can create an ad. And so I created it with that page name and with the an image and doing a giveaway sort of thing as an example, so you could see, like what the ad would look like. And then I just kind of in that just said what I would do and what he should expect and the cost, and just kind of had it all laid out, and it was printed off. I did it in a Word document and just printed it off, and then it had my contact information. And then when I dropped it off, I followed up, probably trying to talk to him. Oh man, like probably 10 different times. I mean, I didn't really talk to him all those times. I talked to, his people that, his workers and stuff. But I finally got a hold of him and said, hey, can I come by and we can discuss, this proposal that I dropped off? And so that worked out, and went in, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, yes.
Perfect. And when you so in that conversation with that client, were you saying, here's the giveaway you're going to do? Or what was that back and forth like? Did he come in and say like, I want to give away $120 worth of gift certificates?
Yeah. So I asked him, I said, what kind of giveaways would you like to get, or what kind of offers would you like to run? What have you done in the past? And and it's funny because he didn't have a whole lot of ideas, but then we try some things, and he did one thing that he's loving, because it's been $5 a day that I've been running since November of last year, is a birthday ad. And it's just, buy appetizer or free or a drink and you get a free meal for your birthday. And he's, the one thing that really annoys me, he doesn't keep track, like dollars of how much return he's getting. Yep. So I'm just asking, like, is it working? Are people coming in? He's like, oh yeah, people are coming in, or if we do another offer of like a giveaway. He loves doing these gift card giveaways now, but he almost wants to do them too much. And then I can tell that the amount of people opting in is like getting less. I'm like, okay, we can't do this every single month. We have to, back off a little bit. Yeah.
Do something different.
So then we're trying different offer, like coupon offers on the back end, like when people opt in, like 20% off. We did the free appetizer. We've done, this one was kind of confusing, but he wanted to try it. Buy a meal and an appetizer and get another meal free or something like that. And I'm like, okay. So whatever he wants to kind of try, then he's willing, I'm willing to do it. There was a local restaurant that was getting amazing response on this Facebook ad that they were doing. It was like it wasn't Mexican. It was a burgers and brews offer or something. And I saw it, and I was looking, and they had a landing page and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. We should do this for this Mexican restaurant. So I sent him the link and stuff. I was like, let's do this like with burritos and margaritas. And he goes, okay. I'm like, I was looking at the other restaurant and what they were doing, and I was seeing that they were really only discounting the hamburgers and the beer by like $1.50 or $2, but they were like making it such a big deal that it seemed like it was a great offer, and people were tagging people and stuff. And so there's also the aspect of, there were some hamburgers that they had never had before, and so they were like, it's for this event. So I'm like, hey, can you get some different kinds of burritos, that you can make just for this? And he's like, oh, I'll have to look into it. I was like, and we need some photos, some like good photos, because his other photos were me going in with my phone and just taking photos. Yep. And they were not that great. And so then he sends me this one photo. He's like, how about this? And it was like, his camera was dirty, so I had like a film on it, and the colors were all just like, bleh. I'm like, do you?
Oh my God. Why?
I know. And so he finally said, he's like, I'm going to hire somebody to come and take the photos. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. So that's something, and so him trying to get that going, and, he's running the restaurant and stuff, but, it's to the point where I'm too busy. I can't, come and take photos and then do editing or send them off to Upwork to get done. But So yeah, doing the different offers, we're kind of go back and forth of figuring out what works. And the fact that he's been my client now for over a year, like we can kind of reutilize and repurpose, the Halloween offer. In December, he does a offer for tamales, like a dozen tamales for like $25. And is that what it was? And it's great because with the bot, you have to re-engage people. You can't just be spammy and promo all the time. But this was a great example of giving an offer to people that are interested in it, just sending a message and saying, hey, do you like tamales? And if they say yes, then they get the offer. If they say no, well, they don't want to know that they have tamales for, $25 for a dozen of them or whatever. So so being able to repurpose a lot of these offers that's a nice thing. It's not reinventing the wheel.
So with this restaurant in particular, you first ran just an ad that went to Messenger tied to a bot that said, we're giving away 3 $30 gift certificates or something like that, right? And then if you entered and didn't win, you end up with a coupon for, what was it, like $10 off or something like that?
The first one was a free appetizer.
Free appetizer. And people were like coming in saying, here's my appetizer and all that stuff. So did they just show it on their phone? Was there a voucher? Like, what did that look like? How did you deliver like the free appetizer?
Yeah, so the free appetizer had it was an image saying, here's a free appetizer, come in and use it. And there was an expiration date on it. But then, let's see, I think it was a free appetizer without a purchase. So he said there were people coming in, just getting the free appetizer and water. I'm like, I guess you expect that. There's gonna be tire kickers who are just gonna come in and get the free appetizer. So then the next time we used that offer, it was a free appetizer with a purchase of, something, right? That wasn't like a soda. It was, a alcoholic drink or a meal or something. But on after the image of the coupon, it was a redemption option. So like saying, click here to redeem your offer. And so I do that with the birthday offer too. So people can't just come and get a free meal all the time. So they have to have the server click, to redeem the offer. And then once that is there, then, the server will see that, it's already been redeemed. So
how did you do that redeem function? Is that inside a Messenger?
Yeah, it's in ManyChat. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So you just do you send the image of the coupon, and then at the bottom you just say, show your server this and click to redeem. And then one thing I learned, because when I first did it, people, when they get these messages, they're just like clicking buttons and they're not even reading. And so they'd click it, they opt into it at like, 2 a.m. and they'd click redeem offer. And they'd send a message back saying, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to click that. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay. So I set up this thing where they have to reply back to get the coupon again. I'm like, one last time. And so the next time I did an offer, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. That took so much of my time. So I did it like a double opt out. So when they clicked it, it'd say, are you sure you want to redeem this? It can only be redeemed once. Since I did that, no one's ever accidentally clicked the button twice. So that has been a huge benefit of doing that, is that it saved a ton of my time.
How many people ended up on this guy's bot?
Oh, now there's I think there's 3,000 or something, or 2,000 now.
And those people are that's a list for almost forever. I mean, it's Facebook list, but you have access to it, right? And you're offers and reasons for people to come back in. You're rotating them. It's the same stuff. This is the dream scenario where you're getting paid every month for a decreasing amount of work over time.
Exactly. And the fact that it's mainly a birthday ad that's just running and bringing people in. And then it's to the point where people are hearing about this birthday ad, I guess, from other people. And all of a sudden I'm just getting random messages to the bot that says, hey, my birthday is tomorrow. And that was it. I'm assuming know that this restaurant has free meals with, a purchase, and that's why you're messaging the page. And so then I just reply back saying, okay, reply back with this, and then you'll get, this coupon for a free meal, when you purchase a drink or an appetizer. And they're like, okay, great, thanks. So it's been also great because the birthday offer is rotating. So the audience is new every single week. Yeah. And then the other aspect is there's people that then message the page after they come in. And they say, oh my gosh, that was amazing food. We didn't even know you guys existed. So it's bringing in new customers that are going to come back, time and time again too.
What I like most about that is it's direct measurable results. If any time this guy's deciding to argue, be like, look, people are messaging the page. Here's proof. They want it. They got the voucher. Checking your records, you can see this person bought. And then you're not having an argument about if it happens, you're now we know it happened. Now it's to figure out how much.
Yep.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. And then you went on stage. You saw your case study and it went full circle, which is absolutely mind blowing. Because I remember that when we met up at AdCon 1, we were all like sitting there dreaming like, God, how much money, what would success look like and things like that. And that's when you were like, I can't figure out this like trucker guy. And I was like, just send him a new proposal. He'll go away. Just send him a new proposal. But he won't pay. Just send him a proposal. And that's exactly what happened. Things like that.
Yeah, it's crazy how things can change in, just a couple years, and then it's like, once I hit that stride and I got that case study, things just started just coming in. It was just like, I have not run ads for myself for client acquisition since June of 2017. So it's just been referrals constantly and people coming in. And it's just, being able to use those results and apply them to other industries too. So it's like, because I don't, get client acquisition for myself, I have so many different industries coming to me and stuff. But like, I was able to use a lot of the stuff I used for the restaurant in the bot. I applied kind of the same strategy to a waxing studio, and it works just the same, with like redemption of coupons and things like that. And, e-com too. It's just like, if you know a good basis of good strategies and how to utilize them and knowing the tech of how to utilize ManyChat, then you can, apply it to a lot of different ways and just tweak it here and there.
So is that how you ended up getting this orthopedist that we're going to talk about next? And like orthodontist. Oh my God, doing that. I do that in real life, by the way.
Do you?
There's an orthopedist that works on. That's not the case, Jeff. That's not correct at all. So you now have an orthodontist that's getting like 15 scheduled appointments at $5 a piece. And for anybody who knows, orthodontist work is effing expensive. Like, they're not just dentists, they're orthodontists. So you sit in the chair, you're like, I'm going to be writing them a check for $1,000. Thank you very much. And then I'm going to right. And you have kids, braces is coming up. That whole scenario. So like, can you go over the thought process on how you had a conversation with your orthodontist, how you created those ads, that campaign, the strategy, all that stuff?
Yeah, so actually he came to me. He was another referral, or he just scheduled an appointment, and so we chatted. And he does all of his marketing himself. He's been doing it himself for a long time, but he wants to get into bots. But he had started a bot, but it wasn't that great. He hadn't done a lot of it, and he was doing everything manually. So he was messaging everybody that was coming into the bot. Like, he was doing a Facebook ad to send a message, but didn't have a bot flow attached to that. So he's doing everything manually. And he was telling me he has on your iPhone, you can set up you start typing keywords or whatever, and it'll do a text expander. So he was having that for all these responses. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that is crazy. And he's an orthodontist, so he's seeing patients too. I'm like, you are crazy. But yeah, so he wanted me to create the bot. And the funny thing, and he's actually down there in Florida. And so I was like, yeah, sure, it'll be $17.50 a month, for the bot. And he goes, do you have any leeway on that? I'm like, no. I'm like, my time is so valuable right now. No, I will. If you want someone cheaper, then you can go find someone else.
Like, the best is like, a year ago, you probably would have said, fine, whatever. Now it's like, it's twice as much and you're going to pay it. And then they go, fine. And then I go,
And this isn't even including Facebook ads either. So this is just the bot. And which I'm glad I didn't discount, because he's like, okay, that's fine, let's go. And then he wants it in both Spanish and English. So I'm pretty much creating two bots, one in Spanish and one in English. And I took Spanish, took 3 years of it in high school, and I'm like, I don't really know it. I mean, he was giving me, text, he was translating, but with the bot, I'm having to create other, messages and stuff. And luckily I have a friend that used to work with me at the lab who she was born in Mexico. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to send you a Google Doc with some Google Translate results. Will you tell me if this works? And so she only had to change a couple letters. So Google Translate was pretty good. But so created that flow, and pretty much what his offer is. And this is really funny. I saved this. So I get this is from my kid's school. It's like a kid's thing. And here's an example where you can go and find just potential clients. Look in these newsletters and stuff, and they have ads, but on the back is for an orthodontist. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I could actually pretty much probably call them up and say, hey, I have these results. Yeah. But so he already is running this offer, and actually this is a better offer. I might have to tell him, look what they're doing over here. But his offer that he's been running is braces for 0 down, 0 financing, or 0% financing, and then $129 a month, and that's it. And so it's a free consultation. So that's what the whole thing was, is a flow to get people to come in to schedule a free consult. And so when I started it out, the start of the bot says, hey, do you want to continue in English or Spanish? And then ask them, what's, you don't want to ask necessarily what their name is. I mean, I do that because it could also be, maybe they're getting it for their kid, right? So you don't want to just assume it's them that wants the consultation. So I start off saying, is this for you or a family member? And if they say them, the great thing is with user inputs with ManyChat is you can provide information in the buttons that all they have to do is click it. And so it's like, is this your full name? Because, Facebook people, sometimes they put weird names and you don't want to say, J-Dog or something like that, right? Like that's not you. That's not your real name. But then so they say, yes, that's a real name, or if not, they can reply with it. And then asking for their name, email, and then contact number. And then from there, it goes to say, okay, great, to schedule your free consult, click the button below and it takes them to Acuity scheduling. And then I have it set up with the bot where it will, and with Google Sheets and Zapier, that when they click to schedule, Zapier waits for like 5-10 minutes or whatever. And then if they don't schedule, maybe it's 20 minutes. If they don't schedule, it will send them a message, reminder message saying, hey, did you still want to schedule? And we see you didn't schedule an appointment. But for those people who do schedule, I have it with Zapier set up that when they schedule an appointment, it automatically sends them a next steps within Messenger, like what to expect at your consult. Here is what you might actually get braces installed that day, depending on if things go well. And then that way too, I also have it all in a Google Sheet. So then his front desk people can go and see who the name, email, phone number, and then also the date scheduled. So I asked him, I was actually on the phone with him earlier this week, and I said, what's the show up rate so far? And he says he hasn't gotten a chance to check that out because it's only been 10 days since the ads have been running. And actually he paid me, he was trying to do the ads himself, like I was saying, but he didn't know how to set up Messenger to the ad. So he's asking me if I would do it. And this is scope creep, and I'm not gonna just say, okay, yeah, sure, I'll just add it. I'm like, well, you didn't pay for that service. And so he's like, well, how much would it be for you just to connect the bot and the ad? And so I told him $375. And he's like, okay. And so I did it. And it's working. It's been getting, so we've gotten 125 leads in 10 days. Which is crazy. And then, actually 100, what's that?
For context, I am consistently the worst cost per lead person in the Facebook ads universe. I'm jumping up and down when I have one lead a day, right? And sometimes it costs me $40. I'm like, yay. So you're saying 125 in how many days? 10 days?
Actually, yeah, it's actually 105. It's been 125 since I set this up because people were coming to his bot, right? And he was manually responding, but in the bottom of the menu, it says schedule a free consult. So some of those people, I guess 20 people were doing that on their own. And then, since I started running the ads on October 1st, there's 105 people who've come in and give their, email and phone number. I mean, there's more than that who haven't completed it all the way. Even though they get reminder messages, they just don't do it. But still, 105 people. And of those, 52 people have scheduled appointments.
Very, very cool. So is this a scenario where because I know you did in-person consulting. Did that help land this client? I remember you got flown down or something for like that, right?
Oh, no, yeah, this is totally, he found me from my website or my bot. I'm not sure exactly. I should look to see how he actually found out about me. But I got flown down to do a consult in Vegas for a really high-end what are they? A shake, like a diet shake brand or whatever. Got it right in a Tesla. It was pretty cool. And then also went and talked to Digital Marketers War Room Mastermind about bots. That was in August. And so, I'm getting visibility, obviously. And so, that's also the other great thing is, going out. And it's funny because it wasn't just flyers when I first started. I was also going to networking events locally. It was like have a drink and just talk with other business owners. And so it was a great way to get me to be able to start talking about what I did. And I got a little bit more comfortable with that and also seeing what resonated with people. And the one thing that really got people's attention, they're really amazed about, was when I was talking about the Facebook Pixel. They're just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So showing my expertise that way, back when I was just doing ads to landing pages, but just seeing how people reacted and responded, and then, kind of just building on that.
So I'm going to open up questions for 5-10 minutes. So guys, if you want to drop in your questions now. But one of the coolest things that I've noticed, a consistent theme with our cohort and our secret chat, I'm talking about?
Yeah.
after like the first 2-3 months, like it just sucks. Nothing is working. Everything's horrible. It's like going to the gym. Like I don't have a six pack. Everything is bad. But somewhere along that path, like something clicks and something fits. For me, it was the bike shop and the soap opera sequence. So like, oh my God, it makes total sense. For you, it was seeing people message that interaction with your junk hauler client. And then all of a sudden, everything just happens. Like you found this works and it just all fits in. So like now I've got like multiple car washes, multiple bike shops. We've got a massage spot coming up, maybe a shopping mall. You've been flown out across halfway across the United States. You've got orthopedists begging to spend almost $2,000. Orthodontist. See what I mean? Orthodontists. It's absolutely insane. And I think it's really, really cool seeing you move forward and on your journey. Because I know you came from, you were like what's a
cytogeneticist.
This was like your pre-Facebook life, right? So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I thought I wanted to, be my background is in biology, and I got my biology degree. I actually wanted to study whales, but that didn't work out. And I got a job working at a medical lab locally when I was going to school. And so I was working 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. At the lab. And then when I got off work at 6 a.m., I would then go to school to finish getting my degree. So, I mean, I was pretty dedicated, and I also needed money. So then since I already had that job, I got my biology degree, finished it, and just opened up a training program for the cytogenetics department, which is analyzing chromosomes underneath a microscope. So I got into that. There was only 4 people being accepted. And so I did that for 10 years, analyzing chromosomes underneath a microscope. It was really interesting, but then also really just monotonous. And I was in a room with no windows, and my blue hair was illegal. So I was really annoyed about that. And then just it got to the point where I was working 2 days a week and then 1 day a week before I quit. And the final straw was
you officially quit your job. I remember that post. Yeah.
So that was actually end of December that I quit. So it's almost been a year, which is crazy because I was really scared. And my husband didn't want me to quit either because I'm like the breadwinner. I was making like $32 an hour to sit in front of a microscope. And, I had great benefits, and I'd been there for, 13 years. He's like, are you sure you want to quit? I'm like, seriously, this is like jail to me. And so the final straw was I was working 1 day a week. I was working Sundays, and that was it. And it happened to be my daughter's birthday is December 11th. And so we were going to have it on the Sunday right around her birthday, but then we had to switch it to the next week because my in-laws were going to be out of town all of a sudden. And so I sent a message to an email to my supervisor. It was like a week before, or less than a week or something like that. I said, hey, we have to switch this. Can I just have next Sunday off? And then the following 2 Sundays were Christmas and New Year's. And I already had those off. So I'm like, can I just have the next Sunday off? I didn't do a whole lot there. I was there a day a week, and I really wasn't productive because I was focusing on my business for the most part. And so I was like, can I have next Sunday off? And so she sent me a response back saying, well, you know what? This could be written up as an occurrence. And I'm like, forget this. I don't need you guys. Yeah. So I was done. I told my husband, I'm like, I'm done. So I went to the store because I saw this posted on Facebook like a year or so ago, 2 years ago. Somebody did this. I'm like, I'm so doing that when I quit. I went to the store, got a sympathy card, and then it said, sorry for your loss. And then on the inside of it, I just wrote my resignation letter in there, put it in the envelope, and then went and put my badge in there and then just dropped it off. And because I already had Christmas and New Year's off, my 2-week notice, I wasn't working again. So that was my last day of my job.
That's fantastic. Do you mind if I ask, like, how long into your Facebook ad agency were you, or your journey? Like, was this like 3 months in, 6 months in, 10 months in? Like, because I remember you and I think we got like Dan Henry's course. I got it like December of 2016. So like,
so I got it September of 2016.
Got it. And so
then I hit 10K September of 2017. So it was like a year to the month that I hit 10K. And it was crazy because I know too that people are like getting Dan's course, and then like 6 weeks later hitting 10K. I'm like, oh
God, yeah.
And I'm like, Curious Student sucked for me. I'm seeing all these people say, oh yeah, I did Curious Student. I got like 20 leads. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crickets for me. Yeah, exactly. I had 0. I'm like, I'm calling junk haulers. I'm like, I'm bottom of the barrel here. And so then once I hit 10K in September, that's, I broke that ceiling. I'm like, okay, this is possible. I'm making, 3 times more than what I was making at the lab. And then I just wanted to keep knowing that was possible, because this job was, pretty much a catch for me, a net, just in case if everything else fell through. And then so finally it was just like, no, I'm done. I'm hitting 10K consistently. I'm out. So, and then since then, yeah, it's just been skyrocket since, that job was kind of holding me back because it was just like I had to mentally go and do that, one day a week. So, and then the crazy thing too, when I was at the lab trying to work my way out of it, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm listening to, books and stuff. And one podcast that really, I was religiously listening to every week was Perpetual Traffic, with Molly Pittman and Ralph Burns. And so listening to that while I'm in the lab, dealing with bone marrow samples and stuff and learning a bunch of stuff. And then it's crazy because full circle, I'm on a Perpetual Traffic episode next week. It's getting released. I recorded it at the ManChat conference. I'm just like, this is crazy. Is this real life? Like I was, a year and a half ago, just listening to that podcast, learning a ton from it. And then now I'm a guest on it. I'm like, this is crazy. This is awesome.
That's absolutely fantastic. We got a couple questions. So
yeah.
Time. After we go through like 4 or 5 questions, we're going to do the strategy session giveaway. So everybody stay tuned. The first question is, and again, guys, I can't see your name, so I'm just going to assume it. Somebody says, I'm just making up a name. Sarah says, when selling, would you recommend leading with the bots or leading with Facebook ads? She asked because she's using bots for some Facebook management clients, but is looking to sell the bots as a one-off service. So how would you think about that? Would you lead with the bot or lead with the ad? And how do you plug in bots into your Facebook ad strategy?
So digital marketing knew about Facebook. So it's kind of like meet them where they are on their level of knowledge, because seriously, he gave me the, deer in the headlights look. I'm actually really surprised that he went forward with having me do that, just because I was doing all this techno babble to him that he had no idea what I was talking about. So if they kind of have an idea about messenger marketing, then I do mention about, bots and stuff. Otherwise, you can say, I'll end up using digital marketing where I'm running Facebook ads through into your page's messenger to get leads, and then to continue to reach those people within messenger. Because obviously you can't not say you're using messenger, because they're going to have their Facebook page, they're going to get notifications, they're getting all these messages, and you're going to be like, what is going on? So you got to at least give them a little bit of a background of what you're going to be doing.
I hope that answers Sarah's question. For context, I almost never bring up bots, because my clients just historically, when I have, they're like confused, like, but what's a robot? I don't understand. And like, it's enough to have a discussion about a pixel, right? So what I do is 2 to 3 months, I just do a bot. It's like, hey, just want to let you know we're introducing a new tool. These are the results you can expect. It's included in your plan. They go, thanks, right? I do it. I just don't tell them. Like I really don't care like what the plumber is doing. Just make sure the toilet works. It's the same way.
Exactly.
That's really like my approach. Somebody says you're the Beyonce of bots, which I thought was that'll be your theme for like the what is it, the thing we're presenting on Saturday?
Oh yeah, JR's event, this weekend. I'm excited for that we now have slides for. I have to make.
Yeah, slides. Okay, so somebody says, is there a favorite type of restaurant to run ads for? Pizzeria, Mexican food, is there a difference, or is the strategy always the same, where you're like gift certificate, coupon, giveaway, reminder type thing?
Yeah, for the most part, the strategy is the same across the board for them, as long as they have, offerings that are, very, sit down restaurants obviously are way better than like fast food, but, sushi, you can do even high-end restaurants, you have to match their type and their clientele too. So usually just mid-range, like pubs and things like that, where you can reach a good majority of people, not necessarily always, the high-end snooty. Yeah, they might spend more money, but it might be harder to reach them. And also you think about the demographics. My experience with bots in general is people who are over the age of 55, maybe 60, they don't do as well with bots. And so if your, clientele is, a higher age range, then, you have to, be a little bit more hand-holding with those people. Gotcha.
So historically, it's like mid to low tier sit-down restaurants where like this tends to work. Not that it couldn't work elsewhere. Maybe like, the London Steakhouse is going to be like kicking ass spots, but we don't know. That's just giving your experience. Is that about right?
Yeah. And also, you can also do one-off bots, just not necessarily with Facebook ads, but just to give them, ask them, do you get a lot of people messaging your Facebook page the same questions all the time? And it's like, okay, I can pretty much create a website for you within Messenger. And so then they understand that, and it's, you know, being able to answer questions, and it saves them time. If you really want to do an amazing bot, depending on what type of software the restaurant uses, but you can even do reservations within Messenger. If there's a way to connect to their software, you know, there's always that aspect of it that might not be possible, but at least maybe you can even do an in-between where like you get reservations that then are sent to a Google Sheet, and then they get notified in the Google Sheet when there's been a new request of a reservation, and that, you know, it's just maybe a reservation request, and that they will then be responded to within, you know, like 2 hours or something, if that's possible.
So for context, that's what Steph does with her massage clinic. She goes,
yeah,
requesting an appointment, expect a call back, and now their pickups are much higher. 2 more questions, and then everybody, we're going to go for the strategy session giveaway. The first question is, how much do you charge the restaurants per month to manage that? And is there a ceiling? And do bots not work in some industries and work better than others?
Yeah, so with restaurants, their profit margin isn't usually really huge, right? Unless you have that high-end clientele type. So usually with bots, I charge between, you know, $500 to $1,000. You know, like I said, you know, with this one Mexican restaurant, you know, it's just one restaurant, and, you know, it's in a decent location. And, you know, he was like, you know, 500 was too much for, you know, everything. And so, yeah, when he was my first client, I was like, okay, we'll do 300 in food. But the huge benefit is with restaurants, you can plug and play. And especially if you get restaurants in the same category. So if you get a bunch of Mexican restaurants, you can do, you know, in different towns. Obviously, you don't want to do 2 in the same town and compete. But if you do Mexican restaurants in the same, you know, different towns, you can have the same offers to a bunch of those. And then you can just plug and play and just do both of those. And then, you know, it's that volume aspect of it. Or if you can get a franchise or a small local franchise type of restaurant, where then you can just have it for each page. And then it's just the same thing, identical. You know, you might change obviously the location and stuff, but it's the same page or same restaurant. So then that's that volume discount. And then in terms, what?
Does that fee include ad spend, or is that separate?
That's, yeah, ad spend is separate. Yeah. So with, and that was the other thing, this restaurant client, he's like, what is this extra, you know, this is when I, you know, was kind of still figuring things out. He's like, what's this extra, you know, $200 from Facebook or $150 from Facebook? I'm like, oh, that's ad spend. So the fact that he's cognizant of that, that's why with the birthday ad, I'm only keeping it at $5 a day. So it's not this huge amount. I mean, I could totally up it, you know, and get more people in there, and he knows that, but it's just consistently the same amount every month for him.
And so are there that you've experienced where bots just plain old don't work?
Not really a whole lot. There's been 2 industries that I've tried ads and bots in, and, you know, not necessarily saying that bots don't work for them, but it just, for me, it was like I was banging my head against the wall. One was a bookkeeper. It was just like, I was trying. I mean, they were also nationally known because they were picked by QuickBooks as being the like firm of the future because they were using bots, because they were doing these cool things. But it was like crickets. Like nobody I could find, at least in this location, wanted to talk about their business taxes on Facebook and within Messenger. It's just boring. The other one was a lawyer. And we tried, and it was just like, so then I switched to a landing page, and even a landing page didn't work that great. And so there's some that are kind of iffy, and I just, now, because I can pick and choose, I choose industries that are fun, that people enjoy going to, that it's a no-brainer. You know, like you were saying, you know, with, you know, dentists, you know, people go to dentists all the time, chiropractors, you know, orthodontists, people, if they need braces, they're going to go in an orthodontist. So when you're first starting out, I suggest, you know, these easier clients, you know, people are going to the gym, going to eat restaurants, you know, just pick some of these easier ones. Don't start off with a lawyer or a bookkeeper, or don't do one of those at all.
So there's somebody in my inner circle who's trying to figure out, he calls it an accountant, but it's like similar skill set. For the life of him, it's always crickets.
Yeah.
I've tried a lawyer, it was always crickets. And what I found is a common theme is, if this business and its processes, right? So it's really like the industry, it's more like how this business works, processes. If they are dependent upon, and they've only had success and think it's only going to work through referrals, that's a big hint for me that marketing advertising just won't work. And then it's like you're trying to grasp at straws the whole time. And so there have been people that have been to this office that like, they want to pay me money and they want the results. And I was like, so like, do you see the future of your business growing? They're like, oh, it's going to be all referrals. And I was like, tell me about it. And like 5, 10 minutes in, we go like, Yeah, marketing advertising not gonna work for you. Like I have so much, like that has not worked in the past. Like the lawyer totally bombed. I've had an accountant that totally bombed. Somebody else's accountant totally bombed. So that's interesting you brought that up. And so I found that whoever like asked the question, like usually it's the processes and their offer. So if they don't have an offer that's like easily digested by a large number of people, you're not going to have success. So that kind of idea.
Exactly.
But now we're coming up to like 45 minutes in total. For everybody that's enjoyed this interview, just kind of like to recap, Mackenzie Lieberman talked about how she got started 2 years ago now, something like that. About 2 years ago, struggled in the beginning, had that like awe-inspiring moment where she realized bots would work because people were asking the businesses questions. From there, restaurant kicked it out of the park. She got flown halfway around the United States to talk strategy to a high-end nutritional company about how bots could help them accomplish their goals. Got featured in ManyChat. A quick question for you, and somebody asked this: how did you acquire all this ManyChat knowledge? Like, you're super involved in their Facebook group, right? So did you start like asking questions? You're like half admin now, right? You know what I mean?
I am a moderator in there, and people tag me in questions now just because I'm in there answering questions all the time. So that's like, people are like, the community wouldn't be anywhere where it is now if it wasn't for you. But yeah, when I started, and it might be because of my scientific mind of how things work, that it clicked. But, when I first started, I didn't know any of this stuff. So I was just diving in and creating things and testing it, see how it responded. And then when I was in the group, I would ask questions, when I was first starting. And then when there were other people in there that were asking questions that I knew the answer to, I was like, oh, I know this answer. I'm going to answer this question. And so that's how that whole thing started. I was just starting to answer questions because I knew the answer myself from, diving and doing it myself. And then finally at one point, one of the admins, from the ManyChat team, he's like, hey, you're in here answering questions all the time. We're going to make you a moderator. I'm like, sweet. Okay.
So like that was a side note because I saw that question coming. But she talked about a lot of interesting things and how she's using that bot strategy and interaction strategy to get scheduled appointments for an orthodontist at $5 a piece. How she has a restaurant client consistently paying her at $5 a day. How she originally traded her first restaurant deal for food and transitioned away from the junk hauler that was taking too much time, too much energy, too much effort, and becoming bots first as an agency. So if you're interested in having a real life conversation with Mackenzie, getting on the phone and figuring out how this is going to help you accomplish your goals, I want you to use the keyword botmyface. Just type botmyface in the chat, and I'll pick 3 people from there to have a special one-on-one 15-minute strategy session with Mackenzie, where you can talk about bots, you can talk about agency, you can talk about the best next steps and things like that, and dive more into not just her story, but more importantly, your story and how you can accomplish those goals as well. So we already have like way too many things like that. So as a last statement, is there anything you'd like to share to somebody who's aspiring to become an agency owner, aspiring to charge to build bots, aspiring to like make the money so they can quit their job? Is there anything you'd like to just like share to them and say to them to help them accomplish their goals?
Yeah, so actually I have 2. One is don't give up. If I would have, I started with that junk hauler who was like the worst client ever. And if I would have said, this is not for me, I'm just going to stay in the lab, because he was really difficult to deal with, and me looking at my prospects of being really low of getting out of my job, I would have still been at the lab working 40 hours a week. So don't give up. And then the second thing is with bots, don't get too overwhelmed. Just start off simple, just a simple, welcome message and, maybe a menu, and start off with your own page and just create a bot for yourself. That's what I did. And then, I started dealing with that and seeing how that worked. And then it just kind of grew from there, and then start adding on, some of the other cool features, after you kind of get a good understanding of the basics.
Very, very cool. Mackenzie, thanks so much for the time. I'll send the intros over the weekend while we are presenting at JR's Mastermind. My slide decks, by the way, are about how to yell at your clients so that they pay you more money. So you'll be seeing the yelling like in session, which is kind of pretty cool.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
It's going to be super awesome. So don't hang up. I'm just going to end the broadcast. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time. See you guys later.